Good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Andy Skibitsky. Thanks to everyone for joining tonight. By the way, if you have friends or family or neighbors who missed tonight's call, we will post a link to the recording of the call on my reelection Facebook page and also my website, andy2017.com. This should be posted by about noon tomorrow. So thanks again for being on the call. Since the spring, I've walked nearly the entire town, covering almost 185 miles, and have attended dozens of neighborhood meet and greets. It was a pleasure speaking to the thousands of residents, and thank you for your time, feedback, and suggestions. However, in a town of nearly 31,000 people, you cannot personally reach everyone, so I'd like to use this event to answer some of the questions you may have. So here is tonight's agenda. First, I'm going to address three of the most common questions that come up in my discussions with residents. Then I'll open up the line for questions, and then that will be followed by closing remarks. I'm expecting to call the last 30 to 45 minutes. So let's first move on to the top three questions that I'm asked by the residents. And the first one, the most common question I receive is why am I running for mayor? And that's the easiest one to answer. You know, I love serving this town. It's an honor serving the town of Westfield, and I truly enjoy public service. I believe I'm a very effective leader, and that my business and government experience has given me the knowledge and skill set needed to effectively serve this office. And I enjoy the challenges that come with the position. But more importantly, there's essential work to finish, especially three very critical state mandates that are currently underway that really require government experience to manage. The first one is COA, the Council on Affordable Housing, specifically implementing our court-approved affordable housing plan. Two is to carefully execute the townwide revaluation. And three, complete the state-mandated master plan reexamination. And I also want to start what I finished. I want to complete the Minnewaska Park 2018, new plantings, new pathways, and a new state-of-the-art playground for children of all abilities are underway. I want to continue to implement the Mayor's Downtown Task Force operation recommendations. I want to finalize and complete the plans to upgrade Tamaulipas Park and its facilities. I will continue our strong fiscal management policies and AAA bond rating, and I will continue to work with our state legislators to secure peak hour one-seat rides. So the second most common question is, Andy, when are you going to lower my taxes? Well, I never make promises on things that I can't deliver. I've always promised that I would be very frugal with taxpayer dollars and slow the growth of the municipal portion of taxes as much as possible. This is the fifth year in a row with the town tax levy. That's the amount of money that we collect from residents to help fund our budget. Was less than the 2% cap, which is allowed by the state. Over the past 8 years, our tax levy increased $2.3 million, or about 1% a year. During that same time frame, Union County taxes went up $11.9 million. That's a 40% increase. So during the past 8 years, the town's levy went up 9.2%, the county almost 41%, and our school taxes 19.4%. So incidentally, just in case you're not aware of it, if you haven't read my tax bill, my letter that comes with the tax bill, the Board of Ed makes up 58% of the taxes we collect, the county 24%, and the town only 16%. So 16% of your tax bill comes to the town of Westfield. And so what's that mean? Well, the average tax bill is around $16,700 in Westfield. The town's portion of that is $2,700, which is about $225 a month. So even if we remove the town's portion from the tax bill, the average tax bill would still be $14,000. There are 565 municipalities in New Jersey, and only 18 or 3% have a AAA bond rating. We are one of them, and in a recent Standard & Poor's report, it stated that the town of Westfield has strong management with good financial policies and practices. So, and this is normally the order the questions come in when I'm talking to residents as well. The third most common question I hear is, when are you going to repave my street? And so since the 2007-2009 Great Recession, which, by the way, I think we weathered very well, we've certainly been able to ramp up our paving process. In fact, in the past 7 years, we did 27 miles of road, which is 27% of our total roads, and that doesn't include county or state roadways. And since I've been mayor, we've paved 40 miles of Westfield roads. So we've also invested in new equipment. In 2015, we purchased a hot box paving system, which allows for much more efficient and durable pothole repairs. In 2016, we purchased a crack sealer, and with these investments, we can now make proper repairs throughout the year, even during the winter months, which helps our investment and helps to maintain the integrity of our roads. And we've also added to our surplus, so now we can invest in new equipment going forward. By the way, the cost of paving a mile of roadway 40 feet wide is almost $400,000. So I often hear candidates say they're going to pave every road in town, but candidates aren't spending their own money to pave roads. We're spending taxpayer dollars, and we spend those tax dollars very prudently. That's why our tax levy has only increased on average 1% a year for the past 8 years. And so I'm going to get to the questions now. So to ask a question, please press *3. Again, to ask a question, you're going to press *3, and the operator will answer. Okay. And due to the high volume of people we have on this call, we'll prioritize the questions based on the broadness of the question. So we may not get down to neighborhood-specific questions if we can't get there. However, at the end of this call, the very end of this call, you will be able to leave a voicemail. So at the end of the call, you'll be prompted you'll automatically be prompted to leave a voicemail should you wish to do so, and we'll try to get back to you if we don't get to your question tonight. So, operator, we're going to start taking questions now. Again, press *3. So the calls are coming in now. So we got a few screeners going through them. So just bear with us, please, for a minute. So I tell you what, while these calls are coming in, why don't I address some of the questions that I think I'll probably get. One of the questions that I've often hear is, Andy, you take a salary as a mayor of Westfield. And the answer to that's pretty simple. The mayor of Westfield has never taken a salary. We actually get paid $1 a year, same with the council people, and we never even expense that check. Nor do we file expense reports, nor do we have any benefits other than serving the residents of the town of Westfield. So if that question was going to come up, I answered it. Let me see if what other questions are coming. Okay, so we have a question here. Let's take this one here, this top one, and the question is, do we get this live, operator? How do we get this live? This question asked live. There we go. All right, go ahead. This is Thomas. Thomas, you there?
Yeah. Hey, Mayor Andy. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Your opponent recently said at the debate that she will increase town revenues. So what are your plans to impact town revenue moving forward?
Yeah, I think in the candidates forum she mentioned specifically downtown revenue. Was that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure. There's really not a lot of sources of downtown revenue. There's parking fees, there's property taxes for the owners of the property downtown, and there's also a special improvement tax for the property owners downtown. That tax funds our Downtown Westfield Corporation. It's an SID, or special improvement tax. And of course, there's building department fees. So when new construction goes up downtown, we'll get fees through that as well. But there's no other really way to raise fees downtown, unless you want to raise parking fees, or unless you want to increase property taxes downtown, or unless you want to increase the SID downtown. and we have a lot of development downtown, which is going to help raise revenues, but that's not necessarily recurring revenue. So when 333 Central was being developed, there's a lot of revenue came in through the building department through that. Right now, the Jolly Trolley is being 20 apartments are going in there, so we'll get a lot of revenue through the building department there. And of course, once they're completed, it does add to our tax base and it helps our revenue. But there's really no other revenue source. The town doesn't. I've heard somebody say that the reference to sales tax. We do not have a sales tax in Westfield. We're not allowed to have a sales tax. That's a state thing. It's mandated by the state, and we couldn't institute a sales tax if we wanted. Does that answer your question, Thomas?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for addressing that.
Okay, great. And the next question is from Deborah regarding teardowns.
There's been a lot of discussion, especially on social media, about teardowns, and I was just wondering if you could address what you might be able to do about that in the next term, should you be reelected.
Yeah, I'd love to address this issue. This is actually a fairly easy one. I know when teardowns occur in neighborhoods, it's really not very. It's not good for the quality of life for the neighbors when that teardown's occurring and a new house is going up. But please be assured that no mayor in the state of New Jersey could stop teardowns, even if we wanted to. That's mandated by state land use laws, and so anybody could tear down their home if they choose to do so. And I think that's one of the good things that's going on here is that there is a lot of investment in the town of Westfield. People are putting money into our neighborhoods, and so one thing I did to address the tear down issue when I first became mayor was I had the mayor's land use task force, which basically studied what was going up. Because quite frankly, some of the homes that were going up back at that time were not very attractive from the street, let's say. And so the mayor's land use task force spent months working on that, working with all kinds of public officials and residents and developers and architects, and put together really good recommendations on how we could change our local ordinances while still being okay with the state land use laws, but allow homes to be built, but that people want, but they're much more attractive than they were in the past. Is that, Deborah? Is that okay? Did I answer that question?
Yeah, it does answer the question. I just
And just another thing, a lot of people mention that historic homes are being demolished. Historic homes aren't being demolished in the town in the town of Westfield. It's really up to the residents to determine if they want to declare their home historic. We don't have the authority to do that, and I don't think you want elected officials to have the authority to do that. I think you want the homeowners to decide the fate of their own property. And so we encourage homeowners to seek a historic designation. I think it's good for homeowners. I've met with neighborhoods and I'm encouraged to do it. I've met with individual homeowners and have encouraged them to do so. But they're concerned that they may not have the ability to do some things to the home in the future that they may want to do. They're perhaps afraid it may hurt property values. So most homeowners are very unlikely, or they don't desire to do that. But even if homes that are declared historic, a homeowner's home who has been declared historic, they still even have the right to tear down, to demolish the home if they choose to do so. The process is a little bit longer, it's a little bit more cumbersome, but they still have the right to do so. So thank you, Deborah. Let's take this one here. Vinny. Vinny, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, Vinny. Hello, Vinny.
How you doing, Andy?
Good. How are you?
First of all, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
What do you think? It's been spoken about a few times. I've heard about tapping into the surplus to maybe pave some more roads in Westfield. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've actually tapped into surplus a little bit in this budget year. I mean, it was funny. one of the last times I ran for mayor, I was criticized for spending our surplus, and but the Great Recession hit, and luckily we had a surplus here, and we used it. We used that money. We used it wisely. We used it to get through. I think to skillfully get through that Great Recession without laying off any first responders, without really decreasing our services. But quite frankly, we couldn't pave the number of roads we wanted to pave during the Great Recession. The revenue wasn't coming in. But we did use the surplus wisely there. We've had gotten the surplus up again, and which is the smart thing to do. It's one of the reasons why we have a AAA bond rating. And in this year alone, we have used in this budget year we have used $2.1 million of that surplus. So it's a balance. It's a balance, Vinny, determining what's the right surplus to have there. We have a lot of work to do in the future. I talked about it at the beginning of this call. The Tamaqua Park, that's going to cost a lot of money. We've got Minnewaska Park we're working on. There's always public safety needs. We're modernizing our DPW equipment. I mentioned the 2 equipment that we bought, and that was bought through our surplus. So we have very bright people on our council, and our CFO is very bright, and we're managing that carefully. And I'll probably get to some road questions later on too, and I can talk about what we have done in the recent years since the Great Recession. But thank you for the question. And again, press *3 if you want to ask a question. *3. Let's go. What's this question here? Go to that one. Borden, since we just talked about paving. Borden, you there?
Yes, sir.
So you specifically, your question is on road work, right?
As opposed to, could monies be taken if you de-emphasize Tamaqua or put that on a back burner, and would that be allowing more money to go to, say, do part of a road?
More roads, sure. Yeah,
mile of road. Some of the roads are half mile, I suppose.
Absolutely. So one of the things we do, is one of the most important things we do as elected officials is manage the budget, right?
Right.
That and so we look at those things. We look at what are the priorities in town, and roads certainly are. So as I mentioned on the last call, since the 2007-2009 recession, we've been able to ramp up our paving. In the past 7 years, we've done about 27 miles of roads. So in the past 7 years, since the Great Recession, we've paved 27 miles of roads, which is basically 27% of our roads that we have in town. That's not counting the state and county roadways. And since I've been mayor, we've paved about 40 miles of roadways. So we are working on that. We'll continue to work on it. But it's a balancing act. We want to control expenses. We want to stay below the 2% cap. We also want to, work on other infrastructure things such as Minnewaska Park. Minnewaska Park was, not an inexpensive thing to dredge that pond and restore the edges of that pond, but it looks beautiful, and we won't have to do that again for another 30 years. But we're always trying to, improve services as much as possible, and we're in a good place right now with our finances and with our AAA bond rating. When we go borrow money, it's very, very inexpensive, and with the surplus that we have, we can start doing more roads. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So let's see, what would you have there? Why don't we do this one? There, right there, Bruce. Bruce, you there?
I'm here.
Your question, sir.
My question is, first, I'd like to commend the administration for controlling their budget very well, and the school board for doing the same thing. But it's the county portion of the budget that went up 40% in the same period, as you mentioned, that seems to be totally out of control. And my question is, can the various towns in Union County gather together, join together, and put pressure on the freeholders to control their budget the same as you control your budget.
Yeah, that's something the Union County towns have been working on for years with very little success. And it is frustrating. You know, we now send enough money in our tax. When I say we, I say residents of Westfield send Union County about $40 million a year in taxes per year. That's about our total revenue. I'm sorry, our total expenditures per year. So that's how much we're sending to Union County. And you look at everything we provide with our 16%, police and fire and road work and parks and administration. I think for that $2,700 per homeowner on average, we're providing a pretty darn good service. It's a challenge. I mean, the county has been raising taxes pretty significantly. You know, it is 24% of our tax dollars. And the other thing, and we'll probably talk about revaluation later. We send more money to Union County freeholders now than any other town in the county. There's 21 towns in the county, and we send more than anybody else. That's because our property value in total is more than any other town. And so we can put pressure on them. What I would like to see, and I think this is wishful thinking, I would like to see the county have wards, if you will, just like the town of Westfield has wards.
Right.
And so various sections of the county could be represented. Right now, it's there's not a lot of accountability there, should I say, and it's a challenge. You know, I work with the freeholders as much as I can. I mean, I'm friends with some of them, and I think that they're good, hardworking people, but I think they need to become more frugal and look at the tax dollar like we do here. I mean, we look at it very, very seriously. So thank you for the call, for the question, though. So let's move on to the next question. All right, let's check this one from Elaine, please. Elaine, I saw your title, so you can phrase that how you want.
Well, before we begin, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you on the telephone. I think it's a great idea what you're doing tonight. I've been living in Westfield for over 50 years, and I want to thank you for taking my question.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. And so your question specifically, Elaine?
Yeah. The stores that are empty in town, I know the ma and pa stores are disappearing. So my question is it because the landlords have gotten too greedy with what they're charging the merchants?
So let me try to address that in a couple different ways. And I think the answer is no. It's a good sign when rents in downtown Westfield are high. It's supply and demand. It's just like people when they sell their home in Westfield, they want to get as much as possible for the price of their home. And by the way, the price of our homes have been going up pretty significantly over the past few years. And so I think it's a good sign that rents are high. If they don't get the demand, eventually the landlords will have to drop the price they're asking. But in a broader aspect, we have from last survey, about 93% of our storefronts are occupied now. 93%, which is pretty high, And when Trader Joe's went down, they could have moved anywhere they wanted to. I mean, they were being courted by lots of towns in Union County. They wanted them badly. They chose to stay in Westfield. Urban Outfitters, which is a tenant that any town would love to have, chose Westfield. But what we can't stop is the national retail change, that retail paradigm change. We couldn't have stopped City Sports from going bankrupt. We couldn't have stopped Cold Water Creek from going bankrupt. We couldn't have stopped Crumbs from going bankrupt. But what we have done is in order to encourage, and I think I'm getting a little off your question though, and I apologize for that. I don't think it's the landlords. I think it's a good sign that their prices are high. I would start getting worried if they started dropping lower and lower. That would concern me. Same thing with property values in our neighborhoods. If they start going down, we need to start getting concerned. But we have, we were named by USA Today earlier this year in March, I believe it was, the #1 shopping destination in New Jersey. So we've continued to do as much as we can to make sure the downtown stays vibrant. My wife Debbie and I were down there last night, and it was packed. I mean, so we've done what we can. We've added parking spaces. We've added 120 downtown spaces, and we're adding more. We changed our liquor laws, which allowed Adams Tavern to come to Westfield. And I always love telling the story. One of our residents in town has, which is a restaurant, was very concerned about Adams Tavern coming in because they're a competitor, of course, and it was a good competitor. They do a nice business, and they've been in business for about 16 years in Westfield. And since Adams Tavern's opened, they're having their best year ever. And they attribute it to the fact that Adams Tavern is bringing more people into the town of Westfield. So changing that liquor law, mayors have tried to do in the past. They couldn't accomplish it. I accomplished it with the help of our council people, and it allowed Adams Tavern to come in. It allowed Ferraras to expand to the second floor, and now they're expanding to the third floor. I think they're opening this month, and they've already got a lot of it's going to be all catering up there, and they got a lot of events already scheduled. And just in some other good news, incidentally, talking about price of rent, every single retail property on South Avenue, between Central Avenue and the Circle, is either rented now or being developed. And I think that's a very strong sign that people are investing, entrepreneurs, investors are investing in Westfield, and that's part of our downtown. It's part of our SID district. They see the 333 Central, the 70 apartments, high-end apartments going in there, the 20 apartments where the Jolly Charlie was, and the 31 apartments near the Circle where that car wash was. And they see there's going to be more and more people walking around downtown and helping to keep our downtown vibrant.
Wow.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next question comes in from, let's see, what line is this? I think we sort of answered that question, didn't we? Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one here from Dwight. The next question is from Dwight. Hold on, Dwight. We're trying to get you in there. Dwight, your line. What line you are there? Dwight, you there? Hello, Dwight. Question on revaluation.
No, you still have Elaine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Elaine's still on. Hold on. Trying to get you off the line, Elaine. I'm not too good with this technology. All right, there's Dwight right here. Dwight, I think you're on the line. Welcome.
Yes. Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you doing tonight? I have a
Terrific.
great question for you.
Sure.
Concerning revaluation, when will it happen and how? Also, how soon will Westfield residents be notified after the results come in? And, of course, if they're dissatisfied with the results, how can they appeal the revaluation?
Sure. So, the revaluation process, we opened bids a couple months ago. And the good news is they came in a lot lower than we expected them to. I thought it was going to be a much bigger bill than it came in. So that's the good news.
Okay.
That process is going to start this fall. Early winter, and there'll be a whole communication plan going out to the town on what to expect, and we have to get it done, I think, by state mandate by the fall of next year. So you'll see it in your first tax bill in 2019. Okay, so I know there's a lot of concern about this. Again, this is being mandated by the state. The reason why we haven't done one, I think, since 1981. With a reassessment in 1986. And the reason why is if we did one before the other Union County towns, then our property values would be even that much higher relative to theirs, and we'd be sending even more money to the county. And that's why we delayed until we were forced to do it. And so, what it will do, I think, it will create a little bit more property tax fairness. What the experts tell me, we're still going to collect the same amount of money. We're not going to be collecting more money. We're just collecting the same amount of money but through differently. So in other words, about a third of the homes, where the taxes will go down. A third of the homes, the taxes will stay the same, and a third of the home, the taxes will go up. So it's not an easy process to go through this. So we'll be rolling out a full communication plan soon, and so when it happens and you're not happy with your revaluation, you certainly can appeal it, and there's a whole process how to do that. But I'm looking forward to getting it done. I'm looking forward to all the other Union County towns getting it done as well. It's mandated by the state, and we got to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. The next question comes from Marty. Right here. Yep.
Mayor?
Hello, Marty.
How are you?
Terrific, thank you.
I got a fairly direct question. Ms. Brindle promises an administration that is inclusive, transparent, and accountable. Can you tell us how you have delivered over the last 12 years an administration that's inclusive, transparent, and accountable?
Sure. It's funny. These words only come up during election time. I mean, I think I've been the most transparent administration that you could be. One of the very first things I did when I became mayor is I opened up my for Saturday morning office hours. And since that time, I've probably met with hundreds, if not thousands, of people. So if anybody wants to talk to me about any issue, they can come on Saturday morning and meet with me. If that's not convenient, I'll meet with them during the evening. And if that's not convenient, I'll meet them on my vacation days. So I'm available to answer any question. And just to give you an example of transparency, I also was the first mayor to do a formal budget presentation. So every time our budget is complete, what we do at Town Hall, we give a PowerPoint presentation, show everyone exactly where the revenue is coming from and where it's going to. And we open up for everybody. We ask people to submit questions beforehand if they like. We ask people to attend the meeting. And then that very next day, we take that PowerPoint presentation and place it on the town website. As well as a formal presentation that we must send down to Trenton. And so, I'm very happy to say those budget meetings are not well attended, and I think the reason they're not well attended is people trust what we're doing. When they see, how we manage their tax dollars, we see how we balance the needs of the town, they see how we compare to other government entities throughout the state, and they're pleased with what we do. So I believe I'm very transparent. As far as inclusive, again, that comes up during election time. I'm very inclusive. I put anybody on the boards that come to me and ask if I think they got the right mindset and the right reason and no hidden agendas, and they're talented and hardworking, I'll put them on boards. One of my most go-to board person is the other party, not my party. And when I have a very important thing like the Mayor's Downtown Task Force, I put him as chair of it. And he also chaired the Mayor's Land Use Task Force because I know he doesn't have a hidden agendas. I know he wants to do what's best for the town, and I've seen the work that he does. I'm not sure what else to say about inclusive. I've performed over 100 marriages. I performed many same-sex marriages. Prior to that, same-sex civil unions, and anywhere I go, everywhere I'm invited to, I'll go there and meet with people.
Thank you so much for walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see. So let's go to this one right here. The next question comes from Mike.
Andy.
Mike.
This is Mike, Andy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Mr. Mayor. I have a question. I think there's been a lot of discussion and possibly some unrealistic expectations set about additional one-seat rides from Westfield into New York City. I know you've been working on this issue forever. Can you bring some reality to maybe some of the expectations that's an easy thing to accomplish?
Yeah, which was easy. Look, as I said, okay, when we do get one-seat rides, it's going to be phenomenal for Westfield from a quality of life, and also from a property value point of view. But I'm not going to guarantee a new tunnel. I don't have $12 billion sitting in our surplus. We have a nice surplus. It's not $12 billion. I supported the ARC Tunnel project, and I'm in favor of the Gateway Tunnel project that's being discussed now. And I lobbied our officials on behalf of the town of Westfield. I lobbied the governor. I lobbied our state elected officials. But there's 18. I believe there's 18 towns along the Raritan Valley line, and every one of those mayors would love to have a one-seat ride. But even those 18 towns can't afford the billions to build a new tunnel. So what have I done? We're a member of the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition. They've been meeting for years. Actually, this past Monday, they had a meeting here in Westfield at our town hall. We host them regularly, and when I can, I attend those meetings. I was at this meeting this past Monday. And so the issue is, of course, tunnel capacity. And in order to get more trains into Penn Station, we need more tunnels. And hopefully that's going to happen. I think that infrastructure improvement is greatly needed for New York and New Jersey. So what can we do? One of the things I did, I do take credit for this. I called our state officials. I called John Bramnick, our state assemblyman. I called Senator Tom Kaine and Assemblywoman Nancy Munoz, and I asked them to set up a meeting with me with New Jersey Transit Executive Director a few years ago. I think this was like 2014. And they said, "Sure, Andy, but why?" And I said, "Because I want to lobby for one-seat rides." And they said, "Okay." They were, They were a little skeptical, let's say, but I gave them credit. They arranged that meeting. We went into Newark. We met with the executive director and most of his direct reports at the time. And when we left that meeting, by the time we left that meeting, he promised us one-seat rides, and he delivered. We now have 9 inbound and 9 outbound one-seat rides Monday through Friday. Granted, they're not during the rush hour. That's our next step, and we're still working on that. I met with Senator Kaine just recently to discuss this issue, and him and Assemblyman Bramnick and Nancy Munoz are working on this. And I don't know if confidence is the right word, but I feel pretty good that we are going to get at least one rush hour inbound and outbound in the somewhat near future. But long term, what we really need is not a new tunnel. And also what I learned at this last Raritan Valley line is, besides the North Tunnel, we also need more extended platforms in Penn Station, because even if they started pouring in more trains, they wouldn't be able to handle the volume of people. So yeah, I'm not going to promise something that I can't do, but I can promise I'll continue to lobby on behalf of the town of Westfield. I know how important it is from a quality of life standpoint. I know how important it is for property values, and I'll continue to advocate for that. And I think eventually we will see at least one peak hour inbound and outbound. But what we really need is the Gateway Tunnel project. So thank you for the question.
Thanks for the realism. Appreciate it.
All right. So again, remember to press *3 if you have a question. And let me see. The next question is from, let me see who we got here. Let's find something a little more town specific. How about this one? The next one from Daniel, right there. Daniel, you there?
I am.
How are you tonight?
Mayor. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I have two related questions. The first question is this: can you please enlighten us regarding the court-ordered affordable housing program? And second question is this: is there any way to fight back against this program. I haven't spoken to anyone in Westfield who is in favor of it, and it seems to me as though this is being imposed on us by people that we did not elect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I've probably spent hundreds of hours in meetings on COA, the Council on Affordable Housing, and our town obligations. And I'm not an attorney, but this is all based on a state Supreme Court ruling called the Mount Laurel ruling, which mandated that towns provide affordable housing. And it's a very laborious process. And I got to say, I think we have control of a nearly uncontrollable process. You know, of course, I'm opposed to high density housing in the inappropriate places. But if you haven't seen, I mean, just this past when was it? Earlier, I guess it was in 2015. What we tried to do is start working to get a judgment that would keep the town of Westfield immune from builder-remedy lawsuits. When I say builder-remedy lawsuits, that's something where you get a 900-unit apartment building shoved into your town because of affordable housing advocates. And so I think we managed that very well. And so over the last several months, the town, we did meet a settlement with the Fair Share Housing Center earlier in I think it was 2015, and earlier this year, and then over the last several months, we've been able to resolve. We had 3 developers that objected to our plan. We settled with them, and I think based on this court ruling and this settlement, I think the densities and the building height limitations agreed upon for Westfield is very appropriate. I mean, we're not going to be exposed to any large scale developments, as is the case in Cranford. We can't fight back. The Supreme Court has ruled, but we can control it, and I think we've controlled it very well. Just to give you an example, the 333 Central project has 70 units in there, and they're very, very high-end units. I mean, I think the one-bedroom starts at around $2,100, and I heard the 2 bedrooms are somewhere between $3,700 and $4,100 starting. So, they're high earners living in there, and but there's also, I believe, 9 affordable housing units, intermingled in there, and that was part of our obligation. And when the new apartments going in the circle, there's 31 there, and I believe 5 of those will be affordable housing. So we're managing carefully. We have an obligation we have to follow. It's one of the oaths I take when I get sworn in for office. I got to follow the state laws. But I think through our town attorney does a wonderful job, our town administrator does a wonderful job, and our town council people have done a very good job, I think, managing this process. And I think we're in a very, very good position. Thank you for the question. Just take a drink of water here. I'm losing my voice. All right. Next question will be, let's see, we've run a little on questions here. Let's do this one. This is an interesting one. Go to Sammy.
How are you, Mr. Mayor?
This is Sammy there. You got Sammy? Sammy, you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Mr. Mayor?
Good, Sammy. How are you?
Good. I want to thank you for your years of service, and just wanted to ask about the parking deck situation. Your opponent has brought up the parking deck, revitalizing that, and just wanted to get your stance on where you stand on that.
Well, it's funny. So, Sammy, the first question, when that comes up, and then, by the way, I was in favor of the parking deck years ago when I was first on the 3rd Ward Council. But when that question comes up now, I ask people, where would they put it? And so where would you recommend putting it, just out of curiosity, if you're in favor of it?
If I was in favor of one, I guess it would have to go somewhere on the south side near the train station.
Right, and that's the answer I get all the time. And then I remind people, that lot is available Saturdays and Sundays all day long for free, and it's mostly empty, other than people going into the city to see a show. or a sporting event. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think you could argue that it'd be maybe for commuters there, but here's the issue with parking decks nowadays. To build a parking deck, and this is if you don't go below ground level. If you just stay above ground, you're talking about $20,000 per space. $20,000 per space. If you start going below ground, which you'd want to, if you want to become, you don't want to be 4 or 5 stories high. You want to be, maybe 2 or 3 stories high with a couple of stories underground. Then it adds tremendously to the cost of your deck. Probably you're talking $35,000 per space. You never get that money back.
Wow.
People talk about, some other towns who have decks, and I can tell you, they're not making money. And what town planners are saying, experts, I'm talking about people from MIT and Stanford and Princeton, people who do this for a living, who study the trends. They're saying that surface parking, let alone parking decks, are going to become obsolete years down the road because of autonomous vehicles. Now, is that scientific? Is that science fiction? Is that going to come through or not? And if so, when? I can't answer that. I think, quite frankly, I think we'll be safer maybe with autonomous vehicles and people texting and driving going down the roads. But I know now a lot of the airport decks are losing drivers like crazy because it's less expensive for people to Uber than to park. I know Ubers use a lot in Westfield to get into town. I know we've actually been in touch with Uber. I've had a couple conversations with an Uber representative. We're trying to work with Uber to have Uber partner with our Downtown Westfield Corporation and work with our local restaurants and to do deals to encourage people to Uber into town. And if you Uber into town, you get a free dessert, let's say, with your meal at these participating restaurants. What's that do? Well, it gets more people into Westfield. It gets more open spaces in Westfield because people aren't parking. And it also, if people choose to have a couple glasses of wine, they're not driving home partially impaired. So I think to fund the parking deck is very hard to do. In order to do it, you're gonna have to put in a lot of spaces. You're gonna have to put in retail. You're gonna put in residential, and I don't think it's going to help our downtown merchants. I think there's things we continue to do to improve our downtown parking. And for instance, our new meters now downtown. If people aren't aware of this, you can now there's the pay by app, which we had in our surface slots. Now is at our on-street meters, and you can pay by app. Download that app; it's wonderful. You pay, and it tells you when you got 15 minutes left, and counts you down. And you can add more time right from your cell phone. So it's a great tool to have. So thank you for the question.
Excellent. Thank you.
And incidentally, we're also adding spaces to the lot across from the post office. That's that lot. That intersection of Lenox and Central is very problematic. There's lots of collisions there and it's not safe for pedestrians. And so we are going to be closing off that section of Lenox between Central and North Avenue. And when we do that, we'll be redesigning that lot. And Lenox will be one way going for that one little block with a post office on, going towards the neighborhoods there. And between that one way and putting some diagonal parking in there and redesigning the lot by closing off that piece of Lenox, we hope to pick up I think 12 to 15 spaces. So we're working on that. So we're almost at hours. We're over time, and I'm paying for this for my campaign by the minute. So let's take one more question. Let's see, what do we have here? This is an interesting one right here. Let's get Deb on the line.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. It's Deb. How are you?
Good, Deb. How are you?
Very good. The last one I wanted to see if you could discuss is about what I call the Amazon effect, which I think has been affecting retail for a long time and only picking up pace. And I was just wondering, should you be reelected, what kinds of things can you do? I heard, obviously, a little bit about Uber, but some other things we might be able to do to bring more traffic and business to the downtown merchants.
Yeah. So we have a lot of. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, Shelley's campaign's been super aggressive about, saying that we're not doing enough now, and I was just wondering what you could share with everybody.
Okay, sure. So it's funny. We do a lot of events now. Of course, we have the pizza run, and we have the spring fling and the fall fest, and we have the Christmas tree lighting. We have, and probably the most popular thing we have is the jazz nights. I mean, Tuesday night summers are phenomenal. But yeah, I tell you, when you talk to merchants downtown, they don't all like those things. They don't necessarily like it when you close down Quimby, or when you've got all these people running a pizza race but not necessarily having dinner. So it's a balance. I mean, we could do something every week, and we would have a lot of upset merchants, a lot of upset restaurateurs. And so what we do, I think we do a very good job of balancing things that bring people into Westfield, introduce people to Westfield, good family events where people have fun, and we're always looking to do more. Like last year we closed Quimby down once during Jazz Nights. This year we closed it down twice. And one of the things we looked into closing it down permanently, but we just can't do that. We talked to traffic engineer, and just because of the traffic flow in downtown Westfield, that would be a nightmare. But we can close it down intermittently, and so we're experimenting with that. We've done it twice this summer, once last summer, and we hope to do it more in the future, maybe more evenings where we do that. But you're right. The Amazon effect is huge. When I'm going door to door, it's like every other door has an Amazon package. I was just at one of our elementary schools I think it was last week, and talking to a assembly of second graders, and I asked them something about how many get stuff delivered from online, and every child raised their hand excitedly. And so it's a phenomenon that is happening. We always have to make sure we keep Westfield downtown vibrant, and I think but we got to do it in a balanced way. We can't just do a bunch of events. We will not have happy customers, I'm telling you. But we are doing things to make it more vibrant. We've got the added parking. We got Adams Tavern. We changed the liquor laws. We are looking at working more with Uber to add, get more people into town. And our DWC always works works and tries to find popular retailers to bring into town. And so it's a balancing act. I think we're balancing it pretty well.
Thank you.
So, should we what time we have here? Oh wow! So it's been almost an hour. So why don't we just close here? And I'm sorry we haven't gotten to everyone's question. So why don't we? So again, at the end of this call, you'll be automatically prompted to leave a voicemail. So if I didn't get to your question, you can leave a voicemail and leave your phone number, and I'll try to get to you. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for participating tonight in tonight's call. As mayor, I believe I've been tested. I have the Great Recession, drastic state aid cuts, Hurricane Irene, the autumn ice storm, Superstorm Sandy, and by working with our elected officials, our town boards, our town professionals, we've accomplished so much. And I named a few the other night at the forum. I'd like to just name a few of those again because I'm proud of what we accomplished. We skillfully navigated the town through the Great Recession. We secured Raritan Valley one-seat rides. Not done yet, but we did that. We established the first quiet zone in the state. And those people that live near the quiet zone know what that means. We've secured $6 million in grant money. So $6 million in grant money. We probably asked for $18 million, but we got about $6 million. And that's not money that's sustainable, but we secure it when we can secure it. And I talked about changing our liquor laws. We've expanded our tree planting program. We've added over 1,000 trees have been planted in the past 2 years. We reduced our parking enforcement hours. We're always looking to improve the downtown. We added senior transportation services. So I can go on and on and on, but we've accomplished a lot, and there's more to do. There's always room for improvement. But I'll never let up. Those that know me know I don't let up. I could go on, but suffice to say, this town is beautiful and skillfully managed. Property values are up 17% over the past 4 years. This March, USA Today named Westfield the #1 shopping destination in the entire state, and and we were named the 30th safest city in the country. And just this past week, I think it was Monday, we were named the 19th best town in the country, and the number 2 in the state. I think the methodology is a little wrong. I think we should have been number 1. But you know me, I'm a proven, dedicated leader. I love this town as much as you do. With your help and your vote, we will keep Westfield moving in the right direction. Strong, safe, and beautiful. So please vote. You can vote tomorrow, by the way, at the Union County office, the Fraser Building at 300 North Avenue East. That's right across from the Westfield Diner. You can vote there in person, I believe, between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. And then on Tuesday, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for your support and for your vote. And remember, stay on the line if you wish to leave a voicemail. You will automatically be prompted to do so. Thanks again, and have a great evening.